The rain hammered the windshield like it was trying to break through, turning the Seattle streets into rivers of regret as I gripped the steering wheel, my heart pounding harder than the storm outside. Jordan's call had come out of nowhere that afternoon. "Hey man, Dad's truck broke down again, and he's stuck at the old mill site. Can you swing by with your tools? You're the only one I trust not to screw it up." I should have said no, should have remembered the way Marcus's gaze lingered on me last summer at the barbecue, but loyalty to my best friend since kindergarten blinded me to the fire already smoldering between us. By the time I pulled up to that forsaken lumber yard on the edge of the Puget Sound, the sky had cracked open, and so had something deep inside me I never knew was there. Marcus was hunched under the hood of his battered Ford, his flannel shirt soaked through, clinging to the broad lines of his shoulders like a second skin. At 45, he carried the weight of the world in the salt and pepper stubble on his jaw, a man who'd buried his wife 5 years back and never quite surfaced from the grief. His hands, calloused from years of carpentry, smeared with grease, paused as my headlights cut through the downpour. "Alex," he said, voice rough like gravel under tires, wiping rain from his eyes that weren't just from the weather. I killed the engine and stepped out, the chill seeping into my bones, but it was nothing compared to the heat rising in my chest when our eyes locked, mine wide with that stupid, unspoken ache I'd been shoving down since I was 18. "Jordan sent me," I muttered, fumbling for my toolbox in the truck bed, water sluicing off my jacket. He nodded, stepping aside to let me peer into the engine's guts, but the space between us felt charged, electric, like the air before lightning strikes. We worked in near silence at first, the rain drumming a relentless rhythm on the metal roof of the mill shed nearby, but every brush of his arm against mine sent sparks skittering up my spine. I was 22, fresh out of community college with a dead-end job at the auto shop, still figuring out the knot of confusion in my gut about who I was, who I wanted. Marcus, though? He was solid, unyielding, the kind of man who'd built half the decks in our neighborhood with his own hands, raising Jordan alone after the accident that took Elena. I'd always admired him from afar, told myself it was just respect, but tonight, with the world washed clean and empty around us, lies felt too heavy to carry. As I tightened a bolt, my fingers slipped, and his hand shot out to steady mine, warm, steady, wrapping around like an anchor in the storm. Time stuttered. The rain faded to a hush, and all I could hear was my pulse thundering in my ears. "Easy there," he murmured, his breath ghosting my knuckles, close enough that I caught the faint scent of pine and motor oil that always clung to him. I yanked back like I'd been burned, mumbling something about the spark plug, but my face flamed hotter than the faulty wire we'd just replaced. He chuckled low, a sound that rumbled through me, and for a split second his eyes, dark, haunted, held mine with a hunger that mirrored the one I'd buried under layers of denial. We got the truck rumbling back to life 20 minutes later, the engine growling triumphantly against the tempest. "Come back to the house," Marcus said, not a question, as he slammed the hood. "Jordan's out with his girl, but I've got coffee on. Least I can do." I hesitated, the rational part of me screaming to drive away, back to my cramped apartment and the safety of solitude, but the pull was stronger. The house was a 15-minute crawl through flooded roads, the wipers slapping like accusations. When we pulled into the driveway of that old Craftsman on Queen and Hill, the porch light flickered like a beacon, drawing me in against my better judgment. Inside, the air was thick with the aroma of fresh ground beans and the faint, comforting must of aged wood. Marcus shrugged off his wet shirt without a second thought, hanging it by the radiator, revealing the map of scars and muscle etched across his back from a lifetime of labor. I averted my eyes, busying myself with peeling off my jacket, but the image seared into my brain, the way his skin glistened under the kitchen's soft glow, vulnerable in a way that twisted something fierce in my chest. He poured 2 mugs, black and steaming, and we settled at the scarred oak table where I'd shared 1,000 meals with Jordan over the years. But tonight, it was just us, the silence stretching taut until he broke it. "You know, Elena always said you had a good heart. Steady hands." His voice cracked on her name, and he stared into his coffee like it held answers. I swallowed hard, the steam rising between us like a veil. She was right about a lot. The words hung there, heavy with the unsaid. The way I'd caught myself watching him mow the lawn last spring, shirtless in the sun, or how Jordan's jokes about crushing on my old man had hit too close to home. Marcus looked up then, really looked, and the raw ache in his eyes cracked me open. "It's been lonely," he admitted, fingers tracing the mug's rim. "Jordan's grown, got his life. Me? I'm just drifting." The confession poured out like the rain outside, and before I knew it, my hand was across the table, covering his tentative, trembling. He didn't pull away. Instead, his thumb brushed mine, a spark that ignited the dry tinder of longing I'd ignored for years. The kitchen clock ticked like a heartbeat, and then he was standing, drawing me up with him, his free hand cupping my jaw with a gentleness that belied his strength. "Alex," he whispered, forehead pressing to mine, breath mingling in the scant space between. My world narrowed to the heat of him, the salt of rain on his skin, and when his lips finally met mine, soft at first, then desperate like a man starved. It was like coming home to a place I'd never known existed. We kissed there in the dim light, hands exploring with the urgency of secrets long kept, bodies pressing close until the table edge bit into my hip. It was wrong, a betrayal of the brother I'd claimed in Jordan, but in that moment, it felt like the only truth I'd ever touched. We stumbled upstairs, shedding clothes like old skins, the creak of the stairs echoing our ragged breaths. His bedroom was a sanctuary of faded blues and the faint scent of her perfume still lingering on the dresser. But tonight, it was ours, raw, uncharted. Marcus was everywhere, his touch reverent yet fierce, mapping my body like he was committing it to memory. I was lost in him. In a way, he murmured my name like a prayer, the grief in his eyes melting into something tender, alive. We moved together in the tangle of sheets, the storm outside mirroring the one within, building to a crescendo that left us shattered and whole. Afterward, he held me close, his chest rising and falling against my back, fingers tracing lazy patterns on my arm. "This changes everything," he said softly into the dark, voice laced with wonder and fear. I woke to dawn filtering through lace curtains, his arm heavy across my waist, the weight of reality crashing in like the receding tide. Jordan's truck was in the drive. He'd come home early. Panic clawed at my throat as I slipped from the bed, dressing in hasty silence, the ghost of Marcus's touch burning on my skin. Downstairs, Jordan was rummaging in the fridge, oblivious, grinning as he tossed me a beer from last night. Dad said you saved his ass. Hero of the hour. Marcus appeared then, hair tousled, eyes shadowed, and our gazes collided, a silent vow, a shared secret that hummed between us like live wire. The days blurred into a dangerous dance. I'd find excuses to drop by, fixing the leaky faucet, helping with the yard work, each visit a stolen hour in the garage or the basement, where his hands would find mine, pulling me into shadows for frantic kisses that tasted of risk and rapture. Jordan suspected nothing, too wrapped up in his own world of college applications and weekend hikes, but the guilt gnawed at me like rust on metal. Marcus was a revelation, fierce in his affection, vulnerable in his confessions of the loneliness that had hollowed him out since Elena's death. "I never thought I'd feel this again," he'd say, holding me after, as if I were the light piercing his endless night. And God, I felt it too. The way he saw me really saw the scared kid grappling with his identity in a town that whispered judgments behind closed doors. But secrets have a way of fraying at the edges. It was 2 weeks later, under a harvest moon that painted the backyard silver, when Jordan cornered me after a pickup game of basketball in the driveway. Sweat slick and laughing, we collapsed on the grass, but his eyes sharpened as he wiped his brow. "You've been around a lot lately. Everything cool with Dad?" My stomach dropped, words tangling on my tongue. "Yeah, just helping out." He studied me, that brotherly intuition cutting too deep. "He seems different, lighter, like he's not carrying the world anymore." The observation twisted the knife, pride and shame warring in my chest. That night, Marcus and I met in the old boathouse down by the Sound, a forgotten relic from his fishing days with Elena. The air was crisp, salted with sea spray, and we made love on a blanket spread over splintered planks, the waves lapping a lullaby below. But as we lay tangled, stars wheeling overhead, he pulled back, face etched with lines deeper than the tide. "We can't keep this up, Alex. Jordan, he'd never forgive." The words landed like a gut punch, stealing my breath. I wanted to argue, to cling to this fragile joy we'd carved from the wreckage, but the truth stared back. Our love was a beautiful lie, built on borrowed time. The unraveling came swift and merciless. Jordan walked in on us a week later, the screen door banging like a gunshot as Marcus and I pulled apart in the kitchen, flour dusted from baking bread for a neighborhood potluck. A domestic illusion shattered in an instant. His face crumpled, betrayal blooming red across his cheeks. "What the fuck?" The shout echoed, raw and ripping, as he backed away, eyes darting between his father, the man who'd raised him single-handed through storms of sorrow, and me, his lifelong friend, the one he'd trusted with everything. Marcus reached out, voice breaking. "Jordan, wait, it's not what." But Jordan was gone, tires screeching into the night, leaving a void that swallowed us whole. The fallout was a hurricane of its own. Jordan ghosted me for days, texts unread, calls to voicemail, while Marcus retreated into silence, the light in his eyes dimming like a bulb flickering out. I paced my apartment, replaying the horror, the way Jordan's world had fractured because of us. Guilt was a living thing, coiling tight around my ribs, but beneath it burned a fierce protectiveness. For Marcus, for the man who'd taught me it was okay to love without apology. I drove to the house under cover of dusk, finding Marcus on the porch swing, nursing a whiskey, the city lights twinkling like distant accusations below. "We have to tell him," I said, sitting beside him, our knees brushing in that familiar spark. He sighed, heavy with the weight of years. "I know, but how do you explain something this messy? He lost his mom young. It's like salt in the wound." We talked until the bottle emptied, voices weaving through fear and resolve. until his hand found mine, squeezing with a desperation that pulled me close. The kiss was slow, aching, a reaffirmation amid the ruins. "I love you," he whispered against my lips, the words of vow etched in starlight. It was the first time either of us had said it aloud, and it anchored me, fierce and unyielding. Confronting Jordan took everything I had. I tracked him to the coffee shop on Capitol Hill, the one with the rainbow flags fluttering in the breeze, ironic backdrop of the storm brewing inside. He sat in the corner booth, hollow-eyed over a cold latte, and when he saw me, his jaw clenched like a fist. "Get out." I didn't. "Please, just hear me." The words tumbled out. The hook of that rainy night, the stolen moments that bloomed into something real, the terror of losing him warring with the truth of who I was. "I'm gay, Jordan. Have been for years, hiding it even from myself. And your dad, he makes me feel seen, alive." Tears streaked his face, anger cracking into grief. "My dad? With you? That's fucked up, Alex. You're like my brother." We argued until the barista hovered awkwardly, voices low but laced with lightning. He hurled accusations, of betrayal, of using his grief, but beneath it, I saw the fear, the boy who'd idolized his father and now grappling with a man who dared to love again. "You think this was easy for him?" I shot back, voice trembling. 5 years alone, raising you, pretending he was fine. "This isn't about pity. It's about healing." Jordan stormed out, but not before a flicker of understanding crossed his face, a crack in the armor. The weeks that followed were a tightrope walk. Marcus and I kept our distance publicly, but late-night drives to the sound became our refuge, where we'd park under the stars, hands entwined, sharing dreams we'd never voiced. He talked of Elena with a softness that no longer broke him, of the life he'd build if Jordan could forgive. I opened up about my own fractures, the absent dad, the mom who worked doubles, the confusion of crushes on boys in high school locker rooms. Our love deepened in the quiet, a tapestry of vulnerability and strength, teaching me that humanity lay not in perfection, but in the courage to embrace the mess. Jordan's thaw came unexpectedly, a text at 2 a.m., coffee. Now, we met at the same shop, tension thick as fog rolling off the water. He looked wrecked, but his eyes held a tentative peace. I talked to Dad, alone. The words hung, and I nodded, heart in my throat. He told me everything, about the loneliness, about you making him feel human again. A pause, heavy. "It hurts, man. Feels like I lost something. But I get it. Love's not a zero-sum game." Relief crashed over me like waves on the shore, and we hugged it out, brothers still, scarred but standing. From there, the path forward unfolded with grace we hadn't earned. Jordan warmed to Marcus's happiness, joining us for awkward family dinners where laughter crept back in like dawn. Marcus and I built something real. Dates at hidden jazz clubs in the U District, weekends hiking the Olympics where he'd hoist me onto rocky outcrops, kissing me breathless against the wind. My coming out rippled outward, friends rallying with surprising support, even as whispers faded in our tight-knit neighborhood. Marcus proposed one crisp autumn evening, down on one knee by the boathouse where it all ignited, ring glinting like a promise. "Marry me, Alex. Let's make this forever." The wedding was small, under a canopy of evergreens by the sound, Jordan best man with a grin that split his face. Vows exchanged with the tide as witness, sealing a love born in storm and tempered in fire. As we danced that night, his arms around me, the world felt vast and kind, a reminder that from the ashes of secrets, something profound could rise. What happened that rainy night still burns in my mind, not as regret, but as the spark that lit my way home. In loving Marcus, I found not just a partner, but the value in every broken heart, the power to heal, to connect, to choose joy over fear. And in America's vast, forgiving landscape, we'd carved our place, one heartbeat at a time. The ceremony's echoes lingered like the scent of salt and pine, but as Marcus and I slipped away for our honeymoon, a quiet cabin tucked in the Cascades, the real work began. Not the grand gestures, but the daily grind of weaving two lives into one. Morning started with coffee brewed strong, his hand on my lower back as I flipped pancakes, a casual intimacy that still sent butterflies skittering. We'd hike trails dusted with early snow, his laughter booming when I slipped on ice, pulling me up only to kiss the chill from my lips. Nights were for fireside talks, vulnerabilities laid bare, my fear of not being enough, his shadows of doubt about deserving this second chance. Back in Seattle, reality reasserted with its usual chaos. My shifts at the shop stretched long, grease under my nails a constant reminder of the blue-collar roots we both shared. Marcus's carpentry gigs picked up, his crew ribbing him good-naturedly about the glow he carried now. Jordan, ever the glue, dragged us to Seahawks games, his arms slung around both our shoulders in the stands, cheering until hoarse. "See? Family's family," he'd say, and damn if it didn't feel true. But beneath the surface calm, ripples stirred, old wounds that hadn't fully scarred over. It hit during Thanksgiving, the house alive with the sizzle of turkey and Jordan's girlfriend, Mia, chopping veggies with enthusiastic clumsiness. Laughter flowed easy until Aunt Clara arrived, her Bible tucked under arm like a shield, eyes narrowing at the subtle ways Marcus and I orbited each other. A brush of fingers, a shared glance. She'd been Elena's sister, distant since the funeral, but Jordan had insisted on inviting her for healing. Dinner was a minefield, her questions probed like scalpels. So Marcus, any plans for companionship? A woman to settle with? The table froze, forks hovering. Marcus's jaw tightened, but I squeezed his knee under the cloth, a silent anchor. He met her gaze steady. I found my companion, Clara. Alex is my husband. The word hung, proud and unyielding. She sputtered, color draining, but Jordan jumped in, voice firm. Auntie, times change. Love's love. Mia nodded fiercely, and the moment passed in strained chatter. But later, as Clara left with a stiff hug, she whispered to me, be good to him. Elena would want that. It was absolution, fragile but real, a bridge over the chasm of loss. Winter deepened, holidays blending into a rhythm of resilience. We decorated the tree together, Marcus hoisting me to string lights, his hands lingering on my waist as memories of Elena surfaced. Ornaments she'd hand-painted, stories of their early days, eloping to Vegas on a whim. She'd like you, he said one night, tracing my collarbone by candlelight. Feisty, kind-hearted. Said I deserved someone who sees the man, not the mask. Tears pricked my eyes. In him, I saw my own mask cracking, the boy who'd hidden his desires now standing tall in them. Spring brought renewal, but also tests. My mom visited from Spokane, her weathered hands clasping mine over pie at the diner. She'd suspected for years, dropping hints and phone calls, but hearing it outright, Mom, I'm gay, married to an incredible man, unleashed a flood of her own confessions. The loneliness after Dad left, the quiet pride in my strength. Marcus charmed her with backyard barbecues, grilling salmon fresh from the market, and by week's end, she was toasting us with tears in her eyes. You boys make each other shine. Yet drama lurked in unexpected corners. A client at Marcus's site, a burly contractor named Hank, started rumors after catching us sharing a goodbye kiss in the parking lot. Whispers of that queer carpenter spreading like wildfire through the trades network. Jobs dried up overnight, calls going unanswered, the sting of prejudice a cold slap after our hard-won peace. Marcus came home defeated one evening, shoulders slumped, staring at eviction notices we'd dodged for months. Maybe we move, start fresh somewhere they don't care who loves who. Rage boiled in me, not at him, but at the narrow world that dared dim his light. I rallied Jordan, who leveraged his tech startup connections for freelance gigs, and Mia's nonprofit hooked us with community workshops. We fought back, not with fists, but fortitude. Marcus teaching queer youth carpentry skills at the local center, me advocating at city council for inclusive hiring. The backlash faded, replaced by allies we'd never known. Neighbors dropping off casseroles, Hank himself apologizing sheepishly after a heart-to-heart with Jordan. Summer swelled with triumphs. We road-tripped the Oregon coast, windows down, his hand on my thigh as waves crashed eternal. In Cannon Beach, under Haystack Rock, we renewed vows spontaneously, toes in the surf, promising to weather every storm. Jordan joined midway, camera in hand, capturing the joy that had once eluded us. Back home, Pride Month bloomed vibrant. We marched hand-in-hand down Broadway, rainbows fluttering, Marcus's voice joining the chants with a fierceness that swelled my heart. But autumn whispered warnings. Marcus's cough started subtle, a dry hack after hikes, dismissed as allergies. Checkups turned to scans, the doctor's face grave. Early-stage lung cancer, echoes of Elena's battle lost to the same thief. The diagnosis landed like a felled tree, crushing the air from our lungs. Hospital rooms became too familiar, chemo's poison leaching color from his cheeks, but his grip on my hand never wavered. We beat this, he'd rasp, eyes fierce. Jordan paced corridors, Mia baking endless trays of cookies, while I read to him from our favorite Steinbeck, voices intertwining in defiance. Treatments dragged, a gauntlet of nausea and hope. Nights, I'd hold him as shivers racked his frame, whispering memories. The rainy night that started it all, the boathouse stars. You saved me, Alex, he'd murmur, fingers weak but loving. Fear clawed at me, the terror of losing him a shadow I'd never outrun. But our love was armor, humanistic in its raw refusal to break. Remission came like dawn after endless night, declared in a sterile office with tears and hugs. Marcus emerged leaner, scarred, but unbreakable, his first hike post-treatment a victory lap up Rattlesnake Ledge, where he dropped to one knee, not for proposal, but gratitude. To us. To fighting. We made love that night in a tent under meteor showers, bodies reclaiming what illness tried to steal. The year closed with reflection. Over New Year's Eve champagne, Jordan toasted, to family, blood, chosen, mended. Clara sent a card, tentative olive branch, inviting us to Easter. We'd built not just a life, but a legacy of empathy, showing a watching world that loves drama needn't end in tragedy, but in profound, redemptive meaning. As winter thawed into tentative green, Marcus and I turned our gaze outward, channeling the fire of survival into something bigger. He'd always sketched designs in the margins of napkins, eco-friendly homes for low-income families, structures that blended with the land like they'd grown there. Now, with health steadier, he pitched the idea to a local nonprofit, his voice gaining strength in boardrooms. I tagged along for moral support, my auto skills translating to volunteering on builds, wrenching pipes while he framed walls. The first project, a tiny home for a queer teen aging out of foster care, felt poetic, our hands shaping shelter from the storms we'd weathered. Jordan dove in too, his coding wizardry streamlining supply chains, Mia organizing fundraisers with flair. The crew became family, tattooed welders sharing stories of their own closets, a non-binary architect with a laugh like thunder. Laughter rang through job sites, but so did hard truths. Permits delayed by bigoted officials, budgets strained by donors who balked at that gay builder. We'd push through, Marcus's quiet resolve a beacon. They can hate the frame, but not the foundation. Personally, the cancer's shadow lingered, morphing into hypervigilance. I catch myself watching him sleep, counting breaths, or hovering during runs. One evening, after a particularly grueling hike where fatigue hit him hard, he confronted me in the kitchen, flour from bread dough dusting his apron. "Stop tiptoeing, Alex. I'm here. We're here." His hands framed my face, thumbs brushing tears I hadn't noticed. Fear's part of it, but it doesn't get to steal our now. We talked deep into night, unpacking the fragility, emerging with boundaries, weekly check-ins with the doc, but space to live unshadowed. Spring unfurled with a surprise. Jordan proposed to Mia during a group camping trip to the Olympics. Ring popped under a waterfall's roar. The joy was infectious, our circle expanding in waves of celebration. We planned their wedding for summer, me as best man, Marcus officiating with a carpenter's precision. Rehearsals turned chaotic fun, Jordan fumbling vows, Mia's dog stealing the bouquet. In quiet moments, Jordan pulled me aside by the fire. "Youth and Dad, you show me what real partnership looks like. Grit and grace." His hug was fierce, mending any last fissures. The wedding day dawned golden, venue a wildflower meadow overlooking the sound. Vows exchanged with the sea's hush as chorus, Jordan's eyes shining as he kissed Mia. Reception spilled into dusk, dances under string lights, Marcus and I swaying slow to an old Elvis tune, his whisper hot against my ear. Our turn was magic. "Theirs will be too." Later, drunk on wine and whimsy, Jordan cornered us with a grin. "House rule, no more drama. Just this, us, thriving." Yet life, that stubborn storyteller, had scripts unwritten. Fall brought a call from Clara, Elena's old quilt, boxed away, now hers to pass on. She arrived hesitant, package in arms, eyes softer than memory. Over tea, stories flowed. Elena's laugh, her fierce love for Marcus. "I was angry," Clara admitted, voice cracking. "At life, at change. But seeing you too, it's like she's smiling again." The quilt draped our bed that night, threads of past weaving into present, a humanistic tapestry of forgiveness. Holiday season ramped up with the build's climax, ribbon cutting for the tiny home village, a cluster of sanctuaries on the city's edge. Cameras flashed, speeches lauded, but the Real Win was the first resident, a trans woman named Riley, mid-30s, keys trembling in her hand. "Safe," she breathed, hugging Marcus tight. Tears flowed free, our circle toasting with thermoses of spiked cider, the work's value etched in every grateful face. Winter holidays blended traditions old and new. We hosted solstice dinner, candles flickering as Marcus recounted lumberjack lore from his youth, Jordan adding tech twists with holographic projections of constellations. Christmas morning, gifts unwrapped to laughter, custom tools for me, engraved with our initials, a star named after us for him. New Year's, we cliffside watched fireworks burst over the sound, resolutions whispered, more travels, deeper roots. But spring stirred undercurrents. Mia announced pregnancy, a nephew on the way, joy laced with Jordan's nerves. "Gonna be a dad. Shit, what if I screw it up?" Like he trailed, old insecurities surfacing. We circled wagons, Marcus sharing fatherhood tales over beers, me promising Uncle Judy's with diaper runs. The ultrasound reveal party was pure chaos, pink and blue balloons exploding in reveal, but the real emotion hit later, Jordan's quiet thanks. "You guys are my blueprint." Summer heat baked the city, our anniversary falling on a heat wave. We escaped to the San Juans, ferry slicing through Salish Sea, cabin rental with a dock for stargazing. Days blurred in kayaks and bonfires, nights in rediscovery. His body familiar yet thrilling, touches mapping scars new and old. One dawn, fog-shrouded, he proposed a pact. Annual escapes, no matter what. To keep the spark, he said, sealing with a kiss that tasted of salt and forever. Fall harvest brought the baby's arrival. Little Theo, squalling into a world of Virginia Mason, Jordan pale, but beaming. Holding that tiny bundle, Marcus's eyes misted, full circle. We became the village raising him, sleep-deprived playdates, Theo's giggles our new soundtrack. As leaves turned, a letter arrived. Hank, the ex-rumormonger, seeking work on our next build. Marcus hired him, second chances accrued. The project soared, diverse crew thriving, culminating in a community center for LGBTQ plus elders, walls echoing with stories like ours. Winter wrapped us gentle. Holidays with Theo's first steps toward the tree. Clara joined fully, baking Elena's cookies, her presence a healed wound. New Year's toast rang true to enduring, evolving love. Yet, as snow fell soft, Marcus's cough returned, faint, insistent. Tess loomed, fear's old friend knocking. But hand in hand, we faced it, our story a testament. Drama's not the end, but the forge shaping meaning profound. The biopsy results came on a gray Tuesday, rain pattering the clinic window like impatient fingers. Benign, the doctor said, scarring from old treatments, nothing more. Relief buckled my knees, Marcus's laugh breaking free as we stumbled into the hall, hugging fierce against the vending machine hum. Told you, he murmured, but his eyes held the what-if shadow, a reminder that peace was precious, hard-won. Spring bloomed defiant, cherry blossoms carpeting queen and like confetti. Theo's christening, secular twist with a humanist celebrant, drew our patchwork family to the park, Jordan cradling his son under oaks, Mia radiant in flower dress. Marcus and I stood, godparents, vows to guide and guard the boy, stirring echoes of our own promises. Picnic followed, blankets spread, laughter mingling with Theo's babbles, Clara cooing over him like long-lost kin. Work surged. The community center's grand opening packed with elders sharing tales, Stonewall survivors, late bloomers like Marcus, their resilience a chorus bolstering our own. Riley, now a volunteer coordinator, pulled me aside post-ceremony. You two started this ripple. Thank you. Her hug lingered, gratitude's quiet power underscoring the human web we'd spun. Summer sizzled with adventure. We loaded the truck for a cross-country haul. Yellowstone first, geysers erupting like our early passions, bison grazing serene. Marcus sketched thermal pools. I snapped photos of him against wildflowers, capturing the man who'd taught me wonder. Eastward to Badlands, layered rock mirroring our strata of joy and scar. Nights in motels with greasy diners and tangled sheets. In D.C., we toured monuments, hands brushing at Lincoln's feet, reflecting on freedoms fought. From hidden to here, Marcus said, voice thick. South to Appalachia, bluegrass festivals where we two-step clumsy, his twirl leaving me breathless. Fall's cusp brought Jordan's promotion, lead developer at a green tech firm, celebrated with rooftop barbecue, city, skyline twinkling. Theo toddled between legs, Mia pregnant again, our circle expanding like roots deep. But whispers of strain surfaced, Marcus chafing at slower gigs, me eyeing mechanic supervisor role, the pull of growth clashing with comfort's tide. Winter holidays amplified warmth. We hosted Yule log ritual, flames crackling as stories circled. Elena's holiday hijinks, my mom's midnight mass memories. Gifts, thoughtful. A leather-bound journal from Marcus's designs, vintage tools for me. New Year's, Theo's chubby fist raised in toast. We pledged presents over perfection. Spring heralded change. Mia's twins arrived premature, but fierce. NICU vigils bonding us tighter. Jordan's exhaustion met with our casseroles. Marcus rocking the preemies during visits. Homecoming was triumphant. Double strollers navigating chaos. Laughter drowning cries. Career shifts crystallized. Marcus launched his firm, Evergreen Builds, focusing sustainable queer-inclusive projects. I climbed to foreman, leading a team diverse as Seattle's mosaic. Challenges mounted, bidding wars, supply crunches, but victories tasted sweeter, like the first contract for a trans shelter. Summer road trip redux, coastal California, Highway 1, winding dramatic, stops at Big Sur Cliffs where Marcus proposed a bucket list. Grand Canyon next, then Europe. Nights in Carmel cottages, love-making slow as tide pools, reaffirming the flame. Fall Harvest Festival saw Theo's first pumpkin patch romp, Jordan hoisting him high, Mia's belly round with third. Clara baked pies, her stories now laced with pride. Evening bonfire, sparks rising, Marcus leaned in. This life's the real drama, beautiful, unbroken. Winter brought a curveball, inheritance from Elena's side, a lakeside cabin in the Cascades, Clara's gift for new memories. We weekend there, snowshoeing trails, Theo bundled in sled, building forts of joy. As year turned, cough forgotten, we stood stronger. Love's kinesis turning trials to triumphs, value in every shared breath, a narrative of humanistic triumph. Dawn broke over the cabin's iced lake, steam rising from coffee mugs as Marcus and I watched Theo chase snowflakes, his giggles piercing the crisp air. Jordan and Mia had joined for the getaway, twins napping in carriers, the family tableau a far cry from that stormy night years back. Clara even braved the drive, her SUV fishtailing on the pass, but arriving with thermoses of mulled wine and tales of Elena's winter escapades. She frees her toes off sledding, then thawed by the fire, she said, eyes distant but warm. We listened, the stories bridging eras, turning ghosts to guides. Spring thawed with purpose. Marcus's firm secured a landmark project, retrofitting an old warehouse into affordable housing for LGBTQ+ seniors, grants flowing from progressive funds. Groundbreaking ceremony drew crowds, shovels turning earth as speeches rang. Marcus's voice steady, crediting the man who rebuilt my heart with a wink my way. Media buzz followed, profiles and local rags hailing Seattle's queer builders, opening doors we'd once kicked at. I shadowed the buzz, my shop promoting the cause with pride stickers on toolboxes, customers nodding approval or averting eyes, progress patchwork, but inching forward. Evenings, we'd debrief over takeout, his head on my shoulder, dissecting wins and woes. It's not just houses he'd muse. It's homes, places to be unapologetic. Jordan's world accelerated too. Paternity leave stretched as he balanced code and colic. Mia launching a doula service for queer parents. We babysat often, the cottage alive with babble. Marcus inventing lullabies about carpenters and mechanics mending worlds. One night, Theo feverish. Jordan cracked under pressure, voice breaking on the phone. What if I'm not enough? Marcus took the call, father to father. You are. We all stumble. Love catches you. Summer scorched, but we countered with lake days, cabin weekends extending to full escapes, kayaks slicing water, grills smoking trout. Clara taught Theo card games, her laughter surprising us all, while Mia and I hiked ridges, swapping mom hacks and life philosophies. You two are legends, she said, pausing for breath. Showed Jordan vulnerability's strength. Fall's foliage framed a milestone. Our 5th anniversary, celebrated low-key at the boathouse birthplace. Picnic spread, crab legs, champagne, sun-dipping gold. Marcus pulled a box, vintage watch inside, engraved forever sparks. Tears blurred as I fastened it. Our kiss sealing time's gift. Winter holidays scaled up, joint feast with Clara's kin, tables groaning under roasts, carols mangled by off-key Theo. Gifts evolved, custom blueprints for the twins' nursery from Marcus, toolkits for all for me. New Year's, lakeside fireworks reflected in frozen water, resolutions whispered, deeper community ties, perhaps fostering down the line. Spring surged with the warehouse project's beam raising, crew hoisting timber to cheers, Riley cutting the ribbon as first resident liaison. Tours followed, elders touring units, eyes lighting at accessible designs, queer flags fluttering balconies. A resident, widowed like Marcus once, clasped his hand. You've given us dignity back. Personal tides shifted. My promotion came with travel, overseeing satellite shops in Portland. Absences tested us, video calls laced with longing, reunions explosive. Marcus handled solo with grace, but confessed over wine, miss your chaos. We adapted, surprise visits bridging miles, love's elasticity proven. Summer road epic, Grand Canyon bound, RV rumbling through deserts, Theo wide-eyed at vastness. Rim hikes stole breaths, Marcus and I stealing moments at overlooks, hands clasped against eternity. From rain to this, he said, awe in voice. Fall baby boom, Mia's third, a girl named Luna, arrived robust, completing their trio. Christening lakeside, family swelling, Jordan's toast heartfelt. To roots that reach, branches that bend. Winter whispered introspection. Cough's ghost prompted annual scans. Clear, always clear, celebrated with cabin toasts. Clara opened fully, sharing Elena's letters, yellowed pages of love and loss, her closure our gain. As snow melted to promise, we pondered expansion, mentoring apprentices perhaps adopting. Life's drama mellowed to depth, value and persistence, connection's quiet roar. The canyon's echo chamber of our summer sojourn lingered into spring, Marcus's sketches of layered rock inspiring a new firm line. Strata homes, modular units echoing personal histories. Layers built, not broken. Pitches landed with eco-investors, groundbreaking in Tacoma, drawing diverse crowds, shovel symbolic of solidarity. Homefront hummed. Theo's preschool enrollment, finger paints arriving smeared on clothes, Jordan juggling dad duties with deadlines. We hosted Uncle Nights, fort-building marathons, Marcus's tales of mythical fixers captivating wide eyes. Mia's doula work flourished, workshops in our community center, birthing circles for trans and non-binary folks, her passion infectious. Anniversary 6th marked with whimsy, hot air balloon over the sound, baskets swaying gentle, champagne popped at apex. Below, Seattle sprawled, our grid of grit and grace. Up here, no storms touch us. Marcus quipped, but his kiss grounded fierce. Summer's heat wave prompted cabin refuge, extended stay with family rotations. Jordan's crew first, then Clara solo, Her fishing lessons for Theo bonding unlikely pair. Your Elena sound of force, she told me one dusk, line cast. Like you, quiet storm. Fall's harvest yielded bountiful. Warehouse fully occupied. Resident council electing Marcus honorary chair. His speeches weaving personal yarns into communal strength. My travels peaked. Spoke instant training crew. Nights FaceTiming Marcus's bedtime stories to Theo. Heart-tugging. Winter holidays innovated. Giving tree expansion. Firm donating build for homeless youth. Clara coordinating drives. Feast inclusive. Neighbors queer and straight. Toast to Theo's first. I love you garbled but gold. New Year's resolution. Foster training. Classes delved deep. Trauma-informed care. Attachment theory. Stirring old fears. But Marcus's hand steady. Weave room in hearts and home. Application submitted. Wait stretching months. Spring's thaw brought match. Siblings, ages 8 and 10. Kai and Lena, biracial kids from foster churn. Home study pass tearful. First visit awkward. Wary eyes, stiff hugs, but Marcus knelt, toolkit out. Want to build a birdhouse? Sparks flew, literally hammer strikes bonding. Summer integration tentative. Park picnics, Kai soccer games, Lena's art classes. Bedtimes rocky. Nightmares waking us, but stories soothe. Marcus's voice anchor. Jordan mentored Kai in code. Mia Lena in baking, family net-wide. Fall challenges crested. Kai school bully, whispers of two dads weird, fists clenched. We rallied. Counselor sessions, pride assemblies. Marcus sharing his closet days. Hiding hurts more than hate. Lena's drawings darkened. Grief for bio mom surfacing. Therapy unpacked. Our arms haven. Winter solidified. Holidays with kids firsts. Tree decorating, cookie chaos. Adoption papers signed lakeside. Snow falling soft. Judge's gavel family seal. Ours. Marcus whispered. Kai and Lena beaming. As year waned, cough checked. Clear. Life's drama alchemized to depth. Humanistic value in every mended fracture. Love's infinite rebuild. Adoption's ink dried, but integration wove slower. Threads of trust knotting day by day. Kai's soccer triumph cheered from sidelines. Marcus coaching sideline yells. Me packing oranges and cheers. Lena's art bloomed vivid. Canvases of rainbows over storms. Gallery show at school drawing tears from Clara. Elena's spirit in her brush. Spring's vigor fueled firm growth. Strata Homes blueprinting a village for foster alumni. Grants gushing. Groundbreaking festive. Kids ribbon cutting. Media spotlighting family builders. My shop expanded too. Branch in Everett. Form and role evolving to regional. Commutes lengthened but pride swelled. Summer's cabin idol included foster alums retreat. Kids swapping stories by fire. Kai opening up about Priya's hurts. Lena sketching group portraits. Jordan's family joined. Theo hurting cousins. Mia's laughter healing hidden wounds. Fall school year tested. Kai's coming out talk, inspired by us, maybe met with hugs, pride flags on backpacks. Lena's anxiety flares, but therapy and Theo's antics steadied. Holidays hummed. Halloween haunts, Thanksgiving tables groaning, kids' gratitude lists topping with our dads. Winter's hush brought reflection. Cough annual, pristine, celebrated with skating on lake, falls into snow laughter-laced. Clara's memoir project, Elena's letters compiled, gifted at solstice, pages turning time's tide. New Year's, kids asleep, we dance slow in kitchen. From one night to this empire, Marcus murmured. Resolution, legacy, scholarships in Elena's name, youth mentorships. Spring burgeoned, village rising, first unit's keys handed tearful, residents' thanks echoing our journey. Kai's team championship, Lena's mural on center wall, family etched public. Summer road with kids, Yosemite wonders, granite faces mirroring resolve, campfires forging bonds. Best adventure, Kai journaled, Lena photographing sunsets. Fall, deepened roots, Jordan's firm collab with ours, tech-integrated homes. Mia's fourth pregnancy announced, circle eternal. Winter closed gentle, holidays with all, babies, elders, echoes. Cough checked final, victory lap. As snow-crowned evergreens, our tale burned bright. From forbidden spark to familial forge, drama's gift the profound human truth, love mends all, meaning in every heartbeat shared.